Hello everyone, it's Friday the 15th of December and this is the Celtic Way morning briefing. We're back up to a trio. Tony has returned from his trip away. You left us, mate, but you're back now. How was your time off?
It was great. Relaxing, as they say, waiting on parcels coming et al. As I spoke to you off air just there, I went to Glasgow Clyde College and spoke to the digital journalists of the future. So that was a wonderful experience. Really enjoyed that. So yeah, thank you. It's good. Good to be
Very
back
good.
though.
And Celtic have improved a wee bit maybe since I know you were on the post match the other night, but a bit of positivity and even the comments yesterday to the video we did, you could just sense people are saying morning. A few days ago, people weren't saying morning; they were getting straight to slamming player X who's underperforming. But Son of Scotland, morning. We've got Plunge saying morning, morning. Everyone's in a good mood, Tony.
You can't be being in a good mood. It's a Celtic victory that does that, and I think I ended the kind of brief the other night by saying dilly ding, dilly dong, Celtic have won in the Champions League. So I think everybody was just waiting for that, weren't they? Kind of Claudio Ranieri style. So yeah, I think it's the feel good factors returned. Hamish, here's hoping that it continues tomorrow against Hearts, and we'll speak about that, no doubt.
Yeah, we will. That's what we're looking at now, Ryan. We didn't even mention it yesterday. Hearts at home. It's a big one. How are you feeling about this one? Because we've kind of, I know we thumped Aberdeen, and I know we were good against Hibs as well, but maybe at home we've not always reached the kind of blistering height. So what are you thinking about this weekend?
Very much two teams that I think are going up and down in their form at the moment. Hearts seem to win a game then lose a game. Or I know that Stephen Naismith was manager of the month for November, but he's been pretty much up and down in his Hearts career as manager so far. So could be another crazy game at Celtic Park after Feyenoord's game on Wednesday. But I think these games always take care of themselves. Celtic v Hearts is always a fixture to look forward to, regardless of the form that either team are in. Hearts will bring a sizable amount of fans with them, spectators, and Celtic Park will be. You would hope it would be full for a big game against Hearts. Always takes care of itself. Definitely one to look forward to. And you're just hoping that Celtic can get back to winning ways domestically, because as much as the feel good factor has been there, they lost their last league game against Kilmarnock. They need to get back to winning ways, especially when their rivals aren't even playing this weekend in the Scottish Premiership. So another chance to even momentarily extend the gap, because even with games in hand, Celtic's rivals still have to win those games.
I know we're trying to be positive, because I think we'll all agree it's funner to be positive than negative. Do you get the sense, Tony, that the other night is like a big turning point for this team, or have we been here before so far this season?
I think it should be a big turning point, Hamish. What I will say is, I wrote an article earlier on the Celtic Way this. You talk about the Jekyll and Hyde nature of Celtic, and I was comparing some of the domestic performances and European performances. I don't know who's the better of the two, Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde, but whatever one it is, I want that from Celtic. And I think it should be a turning point. These guys can play, we know that. And it's just unfathomable the way they can turn up in that first half at St Johnstone and Kilmarnock and serve up that when they have the other night in their locker. So nobody's ever disputing that from this Celtic team. They're a talented bunch. And it's when they underperform and underachieve, that's what really gets to you, isn't it? Because they're far better than that. So I'm hoping that Wednesday night's inspired everybody, manager and players, fans as well. And yeah, the real Celtic start turning up now, because they've got a league and Scottish Cup double to focus on now. That should be their sole focus, and the title especially. But I want the league and Scottish Cup, Hamish. I'm greedy. I want success
Yeah.
for Celtic at all times. So that's the two trophies that are the left to play for. Go and win them, and play the way everybody knows you can.
And the thing is, we certainly for the league, we're still the favourites. People maybe have kind of lost sight of that a little bit, just because of the way it's been going recently, and obviously our gap has been getting smaller and smaller. But we are still 5 points clear. We do still have two of the final three derbies to come at home. So and I think the derbies are going to be crucial in this title race. I think we're going to drop more points. They're going to drop more points. It's kind of a big part of it's going to be who comes out on top in those derbies, and we're just looking forward to that kind of derby at the end of the month now. I know we've got probably 2 or 3 games before then, if not more. But you know, an opportunity to really kind of to get back into things. I mean, what did we learn on Wednesday night, Ryan? Are there any players in your mind that you're going, oh, he kind of did well, I'd have him right in the team? I know there's a complication with the European stuff and players being kind of not registered and stuff like that.
I think with some players, you didn't really learn anything. You know that Matt O'Reilly, and I spent yesterday doing a stats bomb piece all about Matt O'Reilly. The boy was sensational. He was absolutely sensational in all the aspects of his game. So he'll definitely start. That's 1 out of the 11, I think. There would be more of a story if Matt O'Reilly didn't start a game, to be perfectly honest with you. He's been Celtic's best and most consistent player this season. In terms of other players, you know, there'll be the call for Lagerbielke to get a chance. If Carter Vickers is fit, he'll take up one of those 2 centre-back spots, and you would imagine it would be Scales. You know, why break up that partnership that's been doing well when they've both been on the park? So, yeah, it's I think there's a couple of positions up for grabs, like the striking position. You know, because Kyogo didn't score against Feyenoord, does that mean that O goes back in? I don't think that's necessarily the case, because I think Kyogo, you're better off playing players that Hearts wouldn't want to play against. They don't want to play against a tricky wee striker rather than a big imposing threat. Hearts would prefer to play against O than Kyogo. You're better off going against their weaknesses than trying to play towards their strengths, because they've got physical imposing centre-backs. In other areas, you know, there's so many positions that are up for grabs in this team due to the fact that nobody's really taking their opportunity when they're giving it to them. So regardless of who the manager picks, I think there'll be reasons as to why those players are in, or maybe reasons as to why the players that were in on Wednesday maybe aren't in at the weekend. But, you know, there's got to be competition for these places, and the players that come in have got to make a difference, because, you know, there can't be this constant changing of players every single game. Something has got to stick eventually. And you just want to see consistency in the team for this run of games. If players can take that opportunity in the next couple of games, you know, they're all playing for a spot against Rangers over the next few games. You know, that 30th game, that's their big target. I know they won't talk about it, but that's the game that they're trying to play into form for. That's the big game at the end of the year that they all want to be involved in.
I love when we're kind of staying calm about young players and not getting too hyped up, and then we get Thomas messaging in saying Mitchell Frame could be the best player who's come out of the youth system in the last 15 years. That's the positivity we need from Thomas. Another Thomas saying we'll turn up tomorrow and we'll destroy Hearts and make a statement that Sunday against Kilmarnock was a blip. I mean, Mitchell Frame isn't going to start, I don't think, on Saturday, Tony, but is there any other kind of outside shouts? I mean, defence is suddenly kind of interesting, because like Welsh is back in the frame and did back in the frame. I didn't mean frame, but Welsh is back in the pic. Welsh is back in the picture, and did well, but I don't expect him to start. No. You know, Scales was good. Do expect him to start. Carter Vickers, I think, will come back in, and then you've got like Narodsky. When does he suddenly get involved? And also Lagerbielke got his goal, so it's a kind of funny position at the moment.
Yeah, I think, as Ryan said, you just want to start timing your run now to catch the manager's eye, don't you, for that game on the 30th. So I think everybody will be doing the squat thrusts at training and all that, and the star jumps, and saying, look at me. And if they get a chance to perform tomorrow, that's exactly what you're going to have to do, perform. No two ways about it. If you're in that team and you don't perform, you ain't playing against Rangers. Because, like it or not, as Ryan says, they won't admit it. The manager will certainly be thinking about that team selection right now. He'll have it in his head, because it's a hugely important game. As you said, the derbies are going to be interesting this season. And I think everybody's thinking about that game, aren't they? I know it's the old cliche, one game at a time. You can't afford to write off anybody. Hearts tomorrow will be another test, but I think lots of people have their eye on December the 30th, and they're also weighing up in their head who they want to play in the team. Ryan spoke about the striker. I'll declare my hand now. It's Kyogo for me. I thought Kyogo was really good the other night. He made a lot of runs and did a lot of work. Just because you don't score, it doesn't mean you didn't have a good game. And I thought he was approaching something like the old Kyogo we saw the other night. Missed a chance as well, but that's what I want to see from Kyogo. He was in and involved in the areas where I wanted him to be involved. And I think, like anybody else, a goal for Kyogo would do his confidence levels great. So I would persevere with Kyogo till he scored. Don't know what you guys thought about that, but I'm a Kyogo man tomorrow. I think Hearts would prefer because they would just match up with that, wouldn't they? Whereas you can't really match up with Kyogo. I don't think they've got players that are as switched on as Kyogo.
They've struggled in the past.
Yeah,
and that's what I was going to say. I mean, I think he's
record against Hearts, hasn't he?
Especially at Celtic Park, I think he scored in every match.
Every game against Hearts, that's
could be wrong there, but I think, and you're talking like 7 or 8 games probably at this stage.
That was at the back of my mind. That he scored in every game against Hearts. I'm sure I'd read that somewhere. I couldn't tell you the amount of goals, but so that's why he would be in my team tomorrow.
I take your point that he was good the other night, and I do agree. But I mean, that chance he had.
I should have scored.
Short and confident. It wasn't a great effort, was it?
No, he kind of stabbed it into the ground, didn't he? I remember saying that at the time, and the Kyogo of old would probably have buried that. But I think that's a chance that he's not been getting lately. So maybe he snatched at it, and maybe the old clinical Kyogo would have taken it. But I was glad to see him get that chance, because I say as of late those chances have dried up for him, and that supply has dried up. But now I think he would have taken confidence from the other night, the way he played. So now it's just taking the next step and getting back in the goals trail again, I think, and that's why he would be in my team tomorrow. Yeah,
he'd probably be my team. I just kind of it kind of sums up where we're at the moment, that we're kind of going between him and O. Like, it's a kind of weird place we've found ourselves in, and neither of them really seem to have the real answers at the moment. But I think they're not both having absolute shockers. I mean, they're both still contributing, but it's just not to the same level that we got last season from Kyogo predominantly. But I would start him, given his record against Hearts, and given that generally he was pretty good, I would say, in midweek. Without stealing your thunder with the teams, Palma would play. Mikey Johnston's a bit of a funny one again, because I'm not sure he's really grabbing his chance. But who else do we have? You're shaking your head, Tony.
I just, I know what I'm watching with Mikey Johnston, and with the best will in the world, you're willing him to do well, but every time he takes to that stage, the circuits don't connect, do they?
What is it then? Like,
I don't know. I genuinely, if we could put your finger on it, you'd say to him, do this and do that, and there's no shortage of managers have told him what he needs to do, and you keep hearing the same thing. He can beat a man lovely. He's got lots of trickery. He's got lots of skill. You can see that for yourself. But after that, it just goes awry, doesn't it? And you hate to keep going back to that phrase, but it's a stock phrase, isn't it? There just seems to be no end product with Mikey Johnston. You can do a lot of cracking things, but just nothing seems to come of it. And on you go, Ryan.
Yeah, the stories. It's one of those ones that a striker's only as good as his service, and a winger's only as good as the person that gets on the end of his ball. He put in a good ball a couple of nights ago against Feyenoord. If somebody else is there to attack that, it's the mindset completely changes. That was a good moment for him, because he went one-on-one with his marker and left him for dead, and put the ball into the box.
He didn't mess around with it. Like, you've reminded me of that, because I completely forgot, and I was applauding it genuinely at the time, because I was like, he didn't mess around. He wasn't trying to cut in. He didn't. He literally got the ball, took the guy for pace, and whipped it in. It was a great ball. See if he just does that. That's all we're asking for. Yeah.
He overcomplicates things. He wants to beat a man, and then it's as if he wants confirmation that he's beat the man, and does it again and again and again. I just think his decision making is not to be desired. These
are isolated moments in Mikey Johnston's career, though, aren't they?
The one positive.
You're picking out one moment there, right? Mm-hmm. And it's very hard to pick out other similar moments that Mikey Johnston's had whenever he's been in the team. If he was doing that consistently, you would have no problem, because somebody would get on the end of that. That's
but it's
one
there
moment.
Clearly, it's there if he can do it now.
And that's the thing, isn't it? How frustrating is that? So it's
One thing that's in his favour just now is that he's not get injured at this point. Now, touch wood and all that, but this has been a good 3, 4, 5 games that he's came on either as a sub or started. So this is probably, and I'm not even exaggerating when I'm saying this is probably his longest run for quite a few years in terms of getting on the pitch. One of the biggest problems was him actually getting on the pitch, because he would pick up an injury. Maybe he'd have one good game, he'd pick up an injury and you wouldn't see him for a few months or a few weeks. By then, the whole dynamic has changed and someone else is taking that spot. The fact that he's fit is one thing. He needs to now get consistency into his games. And I always talk about it, that countdown is on now. You know, Maeda's probably back at the weekend. That's what Brendan Rodgers was talking about. So if he's fit, then, you know, I think we're missing Maeda, to be honest. I think he gets right back into that starting lineup.
Yeah, of course he does. I don't think there's any debate there that Maeda gets in there. I was going to ask you that. So we're expecting him back. Carter Vickers. Who's the other one I'm thinking of? No, Hatati's a wee bit away, isn't he? Abada's still a wee bit away. Even getting those two back would be pretty good, Ryan.
Yeah, two members of the spine of the team, you know, players that you would expect to be playing every single week. Maeda's not the most creative player in the world, we all know that, but he gives you what he lacks in some areas, he makes up for it in others, you know, the pressing, the determination, you know, he's got a shot on him as well, sometimes when he can be bothered showing it, especially from long range. And it's that speed as well. I just think he's such a dependable player. You know you're going to get good numbers from him in a physical sense whenever he plays. And sometimes it's better to, you know, take his deficiencies and go with the positives rather than leave him out. So if he is fit, for me, then he's got to start, and he'll be very much welcomed back, because I think he's such a vital cog in this team. And Brendan Rodgers loves him himself, so he'll be delighted that he's back.
And therein lieth the rub, Hamish. If you get a straight shootout and choice between Dyson Maeda and Mikey Johnston, who wins it every day of the week and twice on a Sunday? Dyson Maeda, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's, you know, disagreeing with that. Someone was pointing out there, Martin just pointing out that Johnson is playing in the wrong wing, which, you know, is an interesting point. But it's not a witch hunt against Mikey Johnston. I think that part of the thinking for me, you know, why people are so critical is because, like, we know it's there and, like, we all want him to succeed so badly. I think that's why and that's probably, like, Brendan Rodgers was the same as well. Like, he's one of the few players that Brendan Rodgers has, you know, criticised publicly and personally this season. So he clearly feels that he just needs that bit of jolt. But I'd love nothing more for him to, you know, to play at the weekend and to put in a stormer and build on it. But I think Maeda will probably be back in.
But Hamish, Brendan Rodgers also bigged him up and said, as that commenter said, that he's one of the best young players to ever come from the academy. So, yeah, he's publicly criticised him, but he's also said, this guy is brilliant in training. He performs in training and he does all the things I want him to. But somehow, when he goes over that white line in football matches, it doesn't seem to function. And even he can't understand it. And he's had a lot of chances, hasn't he? And then that's the frustrating thing. Because we know it's there, and we constantly get told it's there. There's a succession of managers told you it's there, succession of managers giving him his chance because it's there, and somehow he just can't produce. And I think that's probably a great source of disappointment to Mikey Johnston as well.
Maestro asking latest news in Abada. What was the latest news? Because he wasn't mentioned by Rodgers last week, was he?
I think what the message was that Maeda was further ahead in his recovery than Abada, so he's another few weeks away. But not to use that cliche, and I hate the cliche, but I'm going to use it again. He will feel like a new signing when he's back in that team, because his goals and assists. No, he's inconsistent, but he was showing things at the start of the season that there was improvement in his game under Brendan Rodgers. I think he's a rough diamond, but Brendan Rodgers can polish that and make him a better player as a result of it. If he can get his claws into Abada, basically like he has with Matt O'Reilly, then I think he could become a really, really good player. But I'm looking forward to seeing him back, hopefully. That injury came at the worst time for him as well, because he was just feeling his way back into the side. And then obviously he's been out for 3-4 months now. It was quite a bad injury when he picked it up. Wasn't long after he'd signed his contract. It's been the curse of the contract. You know, Stephen Welsh get the exact same thing earlier on in the season. But I'm looking forward to seeing him return and hopefully get some goals and assists, because that's what he was doing his first couple of seasons. Yeah,
big player. The midfield on tomorrow is going to be interesting. I don't know if we got a kind of update on Iwata. But if Iwata, I guess we will today, but if Iwata's not there, you would assume that McGregor will be playing in that deeper role again. And at the moment, I'd say I would rather have McGregor further forward. I feel that it really kind of adds a bit of dynamism to that midfield and the whole team when McGregor's running about, because he doesn't really run about when he's playing in that deeper role. Where I think Iwata at the moment might be a better option than McGregor in that deeper role, his positioning, and just like McGregor, like I don't know, like the other night there was a couple of really simple passes that he like passed out the park and stuff like that, and I'm kind of scratching my head going like, what's up with you at the moment? He almost looks a bit panicked, and that there was one in particular where he had a simple pass and he passed it right out for a goal kick, and I was like, that's not Callum McGregor. Who's that?
That's actually the words that I used in the instant analysis. What is going on, McGregor? Because that's what came to my head in the first half. I was like, what is going on with Callum McGregor? This is not you. You know, you are this. You're the metronome. You keep everybody ticking throughout the game, and especially in the first half, he did manage to turn it around slightly in the second half, but he was one of Celtic's worst players in the first half because he just could not keep control of the ball. I don't know why that was. Maybe it was due to the fact that he had to change it about a bit because Iwata went off, and he had to change his formation and just get used to a different sort of play style further, or dropping back. But yeah, it's just he's passing. You know what you're accustomed to seeing Callum McGregor doing.
Yeah,
he wasn't doing, and I think that's the most eye-catching thing is when he isn't playing well rather than when he is, because you expect him to play well all the time.
There was that short pass, I think, that you alluded to there, Hamish, the one from the short corner routine to O'Reilly, which went out for the goal kick, and you were rubbing your eyes in disbelief at that because it seemed a straightforward pass, didn't it? And I think even O'Reilly looked at him as if, you know, who's in your body at this minute in time, because it's not the guy I've been playing with all season and for the past couple of years. You know, and I gave him one of those glances as if, what happened there? So, yeah, and I think it's been kind of microcosmic of Callum's season, hasn't it? It's been very, very much loaded with peaks and troughs this season. And as Ryan says, you notice it more when Callum's not on it, don't you? Because that high bar has been set, ridiculously high bar. And, the other night he turned it around. But, yeah, I agree with the fact that the first half maybe wasn't on it. And then simple things like that, seemed to be simple things, and it was very un-Callum McGregor-like at times, uncharacteristic, wasn't it?
You wonder how you get out of that. Does he just play himself out of it, or like is there an instruction you give him? Is it almost like calm down almost? Like is he just a wee bit flustered at the moment? Is he carrying a knock? I mean, when you see players doing daft things, I always wonder in the back of my mind, you know, are they carrying a wee knock that we don't know about? But I thought he was he was all right the other night, but it was just those kind of moments, and there was another one as well where he kind of passed the ball out the park or gave it away, and I was just like, that's not McGregor, but like he's such an important player for us. If we can get him back into form, like you just know for a fact that the rest of his teammates will come with him, and you know the standards will rise. So hopefully, you know, tomorrow is the start of it for him. But yeah, I mean, he was good against Hibs. I thought he was our best player against Hibs, so it's not all been bad recently, but he's certainly not, you know, hitting that level. But yeah, we'll wait and see what's happening with Iwata. Is there anything else, any other kind of rogue shouts, or anything just going through your mind about the game against Hearts?
I'm trying to think of something. I probably should have been thinking of something while you were speaking. It's just that third midfield spot. Just nobody's really grasped it when they've been given the opportunity. You know, Odin Holm had those two chances. I think it was last month against Aberdeen, and was it Motherwell as well? I think it was that run of two games, and he didn't take his big opportunity when it came to him. I thought he was quite disappointing in both games. Yes, he had a chance to score, especially in the Aberdeen game, but I thought he was getting in the way of O'Reilly, and O'Reilly was doing everything that Odin Thiago Holm was doing, but better. Turnbull has been in and out of the team, but I think his contractual situation is looming large. The fact he's only got 6 months left. Do you play a player that wants to leave potentially in 6 months or isn't committing to a new deal? You've got Bernardo, who only plays in Europe, it seems. That was the case the other night as well. He came on after about 20 minutes for Iwata, and I thought he did okay. It's a very, very strange situation with Bernardo. It'd be interesting to see if he maybe gets the nod on Saturday, although it's anybody's guess at this point with the midfield. That position is very much like it's a mystery box of midfielders. You don't know who is going to come up in this midfield because nobody's taking their opportunity when it comes to them for whatever reason.
Is that the issue right here? Have we literally just come across the issue that you go through our entire team, centre backs, centre mids, forwards, wingers, and we don't actually know. Nobody's actually putting down the thing and saying this is my position. Is that not where we've kind of gone wrong so far this season at times?
We're playing spin the bottle at times, Hamish.
Yeah. And last season it was a total opposite.
Yeah, it was guys said certain positions, that was it, and the team more or less picked itself. But I think certainly with regards to the centre midfield position, and to an extent strikers and wingers, as I said, we've been playing spin the bottle. We'll try you this week, try you next week, and it's not conducive to, as I say, continuity and consistency basically. And that's every central midfielder's had a chance, haven't they, to be the third guy beside McGregor and O'Reilly. Odin Thiago Holmes had his chance. Turnbull got his chance at the start. Thiago Holmes got it as well. Bernardo came in European games, as Ryan said. Iwata has come in, and this is all because Hatate got injured, right? And we're waiting on him coming back as well. So can't underestimate how important he is to the team. But you have to say, when he is fully fit, that goes back to that triumvirate, doesn't it? Hatate, McGregor and O'Reilly. Because nobody's really laid down a marker and said, I'm your man, you can trust me.
Maida comes back and Maida goes into the team. Abada comes back. Abada probably goes into the team. I know Palma's there. Hatate comes back, goes into the team. Carter Vickers comes back, goes into the team. It's not a great look, but
and as you say, it says a lot about the rest, doesn't it? That nobody has. They've had time to nail down a place, and nobody really has said, "Look, that's my position."
Yeah. Sorry, Ryan, I'll let you in a wee sec. And just saying, think the team would be picking itself if everyone was fit. And I mean, what do you think, just very quickly to put you in the spot, Ryan, what do you think if everyone's fit at the moment our best 11 is? I've really put them in the spot there.
Right, okay. Goals, right back, Johnson, centre backs, if everybody's fit. And is this to do with form or just fitness?
In your opinion, I mean, what do you think? Where do you think we should be?
In an ideal world, it's got to be Nawrowski and Carter Vickers and Taylor.
Okay,
although I'd want that position to be strengthened
just
in
at
January.
The moment,
McGregor, probably the number 6. Hatate, O'Reilly. Yeah, that's a difficult one. Probably keep Abada on the bench. I think at the moment I want to see how good he can get. I think it'd be Palma and Maeda, and then Kyogo up front.
Agree with that, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, you would argue the toss about Scales, wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. Scales is a stormer of a season, and it just depends on what particular stool you come down on there. Not seen a lot of Nawrowski, obviously, but you want to see him. But Scales can play that position. But I think you wouldn't deviate too far from that, would you? Taylor's a problem position at the minute, isn't it? Yeah. You would want another left back to come in and challenge him. I think that's priority.
Well, that was the talk yesterday about Stephen McGowan was saying that that's a very credible link. Estoril's Thiago Araujo. Now I know we did a scouting report on the Celtic way. Very much a player that I think would instantly improve the team if he was to go in. Tall, athletic, pacey on the ball, and can put a cross in, and a good defender too. He seems like he ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, so I mean, I think everybody is seeing what we're seeing as well, thankfully, at Celtic. So hopefully that can be addressed. But yeah, I mean, I again, the team that you named there, Ryan, with Nawrowski, and I think everybody wants to see what he'll bring to the table. But I don't think anybody has been let down by Liam Scales. And I'm a bit of a yellow jersey man, Hamish, as I talk about it. If you've got the jersey, then it's up to somebody else to come in and take it off you.
Remember in his first season, Rodgers, he I can't remember who our centre backs would have been that first 6 months, but Boyata basically didn't play at all, and then after the winter break, Boyata came right in and suddenly played pretty much every game for the rest of the season. So I wonder if, that winter break, I know we're not going away this year, certainly not going away to Dubai or whatever, but that winter break could still be really, vital in terms of, that could be the opportunity for, guys like Nawrocki and maybe a few more, and obviously the players coming back from injury as well. My main point there, Ryan, is that team you named, like, that should fill everyone with a good bit of confidence, especially if you're adding a few players in January. Like, as much as the team we started the other night was like pretty weak, I would say, I think someone commented earlier saying Scales, Welsh and Mikey Johnston in your starting lineup for a Champions League game. Nothing against those guys, but like you would not have seen that 6 months ago. You'd have thought all three would probably have been away at this stage. So, but I think if we can get those players back and add to the squad, we should still feel confident that Rodgers will get this right.
Absolutely. Injuries are a big factor of this season, and the fact that the team has been up and down. You take players like Cameron Carter-Vickers, who was out for quite a few games at the start of the season. You take Hatate, you take Abada. Look at that spine of the team that you're taking away. Mix that with the fact that you're trying to acclimatise new players into the squad, such as Palma. Palma's got the unenviable task of replacing Jota, who was double figures in goals and assists in both seasons he was at the club. That's very, very big shoes to fill. When you look at these factors and put them all together, it's very, very... You can understand why there has been some struggles at times, but I think injuries have been a very, very big concern with those players. But the good thing is that those players will return back eventually. When Hatate gets back into that midfield, you will certainly see the difference. When Carter-Vickers came back, you've seen the difference because he improves other players around him, not just in the defence, but I think in the midfield as well, because they've got that safety at the back just behind them. So I'm just hoping that'll be the same when the likes of Abada comes back, when Maeda comes back, hopefully at the weekend. When you bring these players in, because that then, the players that are maybe starting just now are on the bench, and then that in turn improves the bench. It has a bit of a domino effect, because if you've got a stronger bench, you can bring on these guys that can maybe make an impact for 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden things are a lot more rosier in terms of the squad lineup and the squad depth. So yeah, it's very much a domino effect, but I'm looking forward to seeing these guys come back from injury and really stake a claim, because they'll be chomping at the bit to get involved in this season. They'll have been annoyed watching from the sidelines for a lot of this season. They want to come in and make an impact and show why they deserve to be starting.
And just get their sleeves dirty and get amongst a title race, because we're kind
Absolutely.
of in one. Final comment, Tony?
Final comment is, I think the feel-good factor will continue tomorrow. I can see Celtic beating Hearts by a couple to spare, at least. It'd be great to see Maeda back, and obviously Cameron Carter-Vickers back in the defence. But I think we have to accentuate the positives here. As you say, we get those players returning from injury, it'll get better. We go into January and might even get a couple of new players as well. Things will look good, but just a lot's going to hinge on December the 30th, isn't it? And I think everybody's eyes and attention is slowly but surely being diverted to that. We have games before that. Need to be clinical, professional and concentrate, do the job until December the 30th.
Yes, Hearts at home, Livingston at home, Dundee away, Rangers at home. So that's how things are looking over the next couple of weeks. Bring it on, we say.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Bring on Hearts tomorrow. We victory over Hearts would just get everyone going again, wouldn't it? So Excellent stuff. You guys, I think, will do probably a few videos before then, and certainly one after the game as well. I'll next speak to you all on Monday, when hopefully we're looking back on another big 3 points. Right, thanks very much, everyone. Thanks for tuning in and commenting if you did. And give us a wee sub as well. We'll speak to you